Straight ahead, making their voices heard, the latest push to keep FEMA funding in Missouri and new deadlines for storm survivors. Plus, a push to get you to the symphony for free. We're going to tell you where you can score some tickets and how. Plus, where you can land tax savings all year round, from healthcare to education, starting with your very last paycheck of the year. We are starting this morning with the effort to make tornado survivors whole in St. Louis. A group from the May tornadoes is making their voices heard in the nation's capital. They are part of a national coalition of disaster survivors sounding the alarm on the Trump administration's proposal to shrink FEMA. Now, they claim the already slow federal response in North City and across the country will get even slower. And the frustration is not with FEMA workers, but with the limits placed on the workers.
I was able to meet so many people that wanted to do more, but were handcuffed based on what, the Secretary of DHS said they could not do. So, I mean, it's really hard for me to give them a grade. So, I would say it's been average to mediocre at best, though.
The FEMA Review Council is expected to vote on its recommendations soon before sending them on to the White House. Of course, we're going to let you know when that vote takes place. The deadline to apply for FEMA assistance is closer for 20 Missouri counties affected by storms from March 30th until April 8th. This includes Iron and nearby Washington County, where an April 2nd tornado caused widespread damage in Potosi. Now, if your home or belongings were damaged and not covered by insurance, FEMA may help with repairs, temporary housing, and essential items. Applications must be submitted by December 22nd. The St. Louis County Council passes a budget that the county executive calls alarming. The council approved a budget that slashes $48 million from the deficit proposed by the county executive, Sam Page. One of the biggest concerns is cuts for the health department. It had an $11 million reduction in proposed funding. Councilwoman Shalonda Webb says they base the numbers on actual spending trends and essential care will not be compromised.
We are not closing health clinics. I want everyone to stop doing that to people. We will focus on those chartered services like vaccinations, like communicable diseases.
If you are doing the math here, there is still a budget shortfall in this proposal. The council says even if the county executive wants to veto this budget, they have enough votes to override any veto, and they also have the power to adopt the budget under the county charter. It is a growing crisis. Officials say a man-made opioid is the reason behind a recent spike in overdose deaths. The drug is called carfentanil, and it is 100 times more potent than fentanyl itself. Justina Cornell reports from Clayton with details on how the health department plans to curb this at no cost to the public.
A new Narcan vending machine was placed at St. Louis County headquarters in Clayton. The goal is to place 41 throughout the county. So how does it work? No ID, prescription, or payment is required. Inside, there's free Narcan, wound care kits, and hygiene kits. Dr. Kanika Cunningham, director of the St. Louis County Department of Public Health, says opioid overdose deaths are going down in the county. But the main concern right now is carfentanil. This is a synthetic opioid primarily used as a tranquilizer for large animals like elephants. Carfentanil is 100 times more potent than fentanyl, and it requires 3 to 4 doses of naloxone to respond to it. Dr. Cunningham explains that's why access to Narcan is more critical than ever. Their drug surveillance program has tracked carfentanil, which has been in 18% of its tested samples so far this year, indicating it's being mixed in fentanyl.
So far in 2025, there have been 7 confirmed fatalities, compared to just 1 in all of 2024. Prior to that, only 2 deaths have ever been recorded in the county.
Officials recommend you getting your hands on Narcan as quickly as possible. And in order to do so, there are 27 vending machines across St. Louis County, including the county building in Clayton. Reporting in Clayton, Justina Cornell, 5 on your side.
President Trump also wants to make a change with the way that marijuana is classified, saying that he is strongly considering reclassifying it as a Schedule III drug. Right now, it's considered a Schedule I, which also includes heroin and ecstasy. Schedule III drugs include ketamine, prescription Tylenol, and steroids. Reports say the change could greatly boost the cannabis industry. The cannabis industry earned about $1.5 billion in sales last year for Missouri and $2 billion for Illinois. The U.S. jobs report is out and it's a mixed bag. Unemployment rose to 4.6%, higher than expected, but November saw 64,000 jobs added, with most gains coming from the healthcare sector. The report also confirms October's loss of about 105,000 jobs, driven largely by government cuts. Now, inflation still remains elevated, around 3.1% year over year. We asked a St. Louis Federal Reserve economist about the issues here at home from the latest Beige Book report. Now, that's a report that takes a local snapshot from business leaders and others, and this latest report saw changes in a couple of areas. The latest report shows some changes, specifically you said in prices and then also consumer spending. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, there's a couple big factors that have happened over the last couple months. Most notably, the government shutdown, and I know that's in the past now, but a lot of people were impacted by it, either directly through layoffs, but then also just the way the supply chains work and the role that the federal government plays just led to weaker demand, and we also saw a pullback in consumer spending, just as people weren't really confident about the outlook. Given all the turmoil that was going on in Washington. So that really led to kind of a pretty big pullback in consumer confidence and people not knowing what was going to happen over the next couple months.
The Beige Book report comes out 8 times a year across 12 Federal Reserve districts in hopes of spotting trends in jobs, prices, and just consumer activity to help the Fed make good decisions on monetary policy. You can see that full interview, by the way, on ksdk.com. In Washington, D.C. now, the House is voting on a Republican health care bill. Now, it does not extend Affordable Care Act subsidies, which have made health care premiums more affordable for millions of Americans. House Democrats say that they received enough signatures on a discharge petition to force a vote on extending them. 4 Republicans joined them in signing that petition. Now, the vote would have to happen this week before the House leaves for a break. That hasn't happened, so this comes a day after the House Speaker said he would not call for a vote to extend the subsidies.
This was not a partisan decision. This was a people decision. We have the chance in the next 3 days to take one simple vote that will put Americans first and restore affordable health care for millions of Americans throughout this country.
The roots of Obamacare, the Unaffordable Care Act, have gotten so deep in the system that it's no longer possible to just pull it out at the root and chop it off and start over. It's too deeply ingrained. And so now we have to take it step by step to reduce cost and repair the system.
I think it's idiotic not to have an up or down vote on this issue. The fact is, Obamacare has failed. We all know that. We acknowledge that. But to not have a vote on the extension with reforms, with conservative reforms, income limits, elimination of zero premium plans, PBM reform, HSA expansion, to not do that is idiotic. It is political malpractice.
The subsidies expire at the end of the month, and just last week, the Senate failed to pass 2 health care bills. Nursing moms in Illinois will get paid breaks to pump breast milk at the start of the new year, and this is all thanks to a new state law taking effect January 1st. The Senate bill requires employers to provide 30 minutes of paid break time to any employee who needs to express or pump breast milk up to 1 year after childbirth. Now, prior to this law, these breaks were unpaid, but now mothers must be compensated during this time, and employers cannot require the use of paid leave. According to one of the bill's sponsors, this is crucial since 80% of new moms in the U.S. breastfeed and 60% are in the workforce. Well, money moves fast in the digital age, and lawmakers in Missouri want to slow part of it down. Republicans are unveiling a proposal aimed at blocking overseas money transfers by people without legal work status. As our political editor, Mark Maxwell, explains, supporters say it targets illegal immigration, while critics question whether any state can regulate the flow of international money.
They say money never sleeps. It has a way of moving, whether governments approve or not, every day. Millions of dollars cross borders without a passport, without a visa, often without much notice.
Billions of dollars leave the U.S. economy through unverified channels.
Through small office doors like these, a Western Union in Nicaragua, a money transfer counter in Beirut. Families wait for wages earned abroad, for help from relatives, for money meant to keep daily life going. 5 years ago, the Trump administration cut off financial transfers like that to Cuba through Western Union, using sanctions to choke off that critical flow of cash to the island. The result was immediate. Families lost access to one of their only reliable financial lifelines. 5 years later, Missouri Republicans are advancing a similar idea.
This is not radical. This is not extreme.
This time at the state level.
Now, some will say immigration is a federal issue. Of course, and yes, but states are not powerless.
We want to drive these illegal immigrants out of here.
Their joint proposal would require money transfer companies to verify a sender's legal work status before allowing funds to be sent overseas.
It's a documentation bill that documents, who's transferring the money from the U.S. to these other countries.
But remittances are not always abstract or illicit. 4 years ago, AP photographers documented homes under construction in Guatemala, all built with money sent from the U.S., not hidden, not underground, but through regulated financial channels. Now, Missouri Republicans want to add to those regulations, requiring financial institutions to pre-screen anyone sending money they earned here without legal work status.
If you are not here present legally, you will not be able to send money back home. You will have to prove that you are here legally.
Again, that was Mark Maxwell reporting there. This proposal effectively forces banks and wire services to act as immigration screeners for international money transfers or pay a steep penalty. Now, some critics fear it could have the effect of cutting undocumented immigrants off from the U.S. financial system, driving their dollars underground. Several states, including Illinois and Missouri, are joining the Federal Trade Commission to sue Uber for being deceptive in the way it charged for a subscription service called Uber One. Federal regulators claim the company charged people without their consent and also failed to deliver on promised savings like zero delivery fees. The lawsuit is seeking civil penalties under state and federal consumer protection laws. This will be decided in federal court. A new federal report shows that our elders are getting hit hard with scams. In a new report, the Federal Trade Commission says fraud targeting Americans age 60 and older has skyrocketed, going from $600 million lost in 2020 to about $2.4 billion in 2024. The most common ways people are losing their retirement are fake investments, impersonation, or romance scams. The FTC's report shows that there is a greater need for aggressive enforcement and more outreach to older consumers. Your favorite home assistant needs a bailout. iRobot, the maker of the Roomba vacuum, actually filed for bankruptcy this week, saying that even with more than $680 million in revenue last year, profits have taken a hit thanks to Chinese rivals. The company is also blaming tariffs, where it has a 46% levy from Vietnam. iRobot also has debt, and $1 billion deal with Amazon just fell through. So this bankruptcy shouldn't disrupt the app or customer programs. Well, Americans are feeling the pinch, and it is causing them to spread less holiday cheer when it comes to presents. A new poll by the NBC News Decision Desk finds 55% of U.S. adults are cutting back on holiday gift spending compared to last year. More than a third plan to spend the same, and 9% said they will fork over even more. And of course, Christmas is almost here, and many of you are still trying to find that perfect gift. But the Better Business Bureau warns that scammers are trying to take advantage of that holiday shopping sprint. So here are just a few tips to keep your money safe. First, don't be fooled by extra low prices because, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Next, only buy from reputable stores and websites. Double check that the website is actually spelled correctly. And then finally, use a credit card. It is easier to dispute charges that you didn't approve on or get your money back if there is actually a problem. The Salvation Army has turned the Airway Center in St. Anne into an Angel Tree toy town. Parents and grandparents can pick out toys for their kids at no cost. The nonprofit expects to help more than 8,200 kids this year. Donations can be dropped off Monday through Friday at the Midland Division on Hampton or the Airway Center on St. Charles Rock Road. And check this out, there are some free St. Louis Symphony Orchestra tickets up for grabs. St. Louis County Libraries now offering free passes. Library members who are attending the symphony for the first time can receive up to 2 free tickets. And all you have to do is visit your local branch and ask the service desk. Pretty cool. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for watching Michelle on the Money. And for more money stories like these, be sure to join me every day on Today in St. Louis starting at 5 a.m. We're going to see you again next weekend right here on the 5+ app.